Jay, I appreciate you sharing this because I think it's a pertinent subject. All right, because I think that when the IDEA, and this is a holiday edition, guys, so I don't wear this every day. This is, if you look at the date on here, it was Christmas 2019. So Merry Christmas. Okay. But IDEA was revised back in 2004. It hasn't been revised since then. Over the years, they've been tightening the laws, since IDEA came to an existence. And, there's been a lot of questions answered with regards to parental rights and being able to go out and get an attorney to help advocate for them in this area. Now, it's an area where a parent can act pro se, meaning that they can act as their own attorney. What I think is incredibly unfair is that the school can use their attorney once it hits the hearing. Now, I'm not an idiot. I know that when a parent acts pro se, the attorney is there the entire time. And in fact, with a lot of my cases, depending on the nature of the case, the parent will be working through the process for, let's say, 6 months, 8 months. And then they call me exhausted and they say, James, I've tried and I've tried and I've tried. And then I reach out to their board attorney and the board attorney says, oh yeah, I know all about that case. Yeah, oh yeah, I've been maintaining a file, I've been having communication with the special education director about that family. So even before the parent, and this is just when the parents are going through IEP meetings. This isn't even if they've, this isn't even them going out and filing a complaint on their own and trying to act as their own attorney. That is just the reality of life, is that they're board attorneys that specialize in special education, okay? Because most schools will have two board attorneys. They'll have the one that's just the local person that handles the contracts and union disputes and things of that nature. And then you have the one that is trained like me in special education. Because quite frankly, it's an unfair fight. If just the regular board attorney is asked to have the same level of knowledge in this area that I do. I specialize. It's a boutique area. There's not a lot of us that do this, and not a lot of us should. I know a lot of people are, we need so many more special education attorneys. True, but we only need ones that understand how delicate this area of law is. And some of the problem that we're having, Jay, this isn't part of the problem that we're having is, I'm going to share this anyway. It's not a question. You shared an article. Is that we do have some attorneys in this field, not only representing the school boards, but also that offering their services to parents that don't have the right intentions, are not in it for any other reason but to make a quick buck and to make money. And, at that point, if you're in it for that, and look, I make a living that way. Absolutely, I do. At the same time, I'm also impacted by this area because my daughter has an IEP. A couple of the attorneys that are in this field with me, I'm talking about that work with the Galini Group or work for the Galini Group. They have children with IEPs as well. So they're impacted by this just like I am. And it tends to alter your perspective a little bit to where, you're understanding the nature of resources in the form of tax money that goes in to support our schools. You're also cognizant of the fact that you're advocating for families just like you would your own. And just like you wouldn't want anybody to come in and disrupt and make your IEP team worse, that's what we're cognizant of. You want to leave it in better shape than you found it. You want to come in with ideas and corrective action. You want to try to get out as quickly as possible. But see, I am a believer in this law as well, that the parents are entitled to reimbursement or payment of their attorney fees, reasonable attorney fees, which is what the law says, if they prevail and they had a legitimate complaint. So a lot of schools don't like that. A lot of schools go, well, we'll pay for our fees and you pay for your fees. No, that's not how that works. There's no money damages. Even though what I run into a lot is damage to the child. But there is no mechanism for money damages under IDEA. There's corrective action. But I also believe that a parent's ability to get their attorney fees refunded or paid for by the school system is also a corrective action. And I also believe it's a punishment mechanism. That if a school system doesn't want to be hemorrhaging money on attorney fees, then do the right thing. Support your teachers. Get in the right staff support. Train them properly. You do that, you have good relationships with your special education parents on the school level, they won't need me. Because at that point, they're able to use the IEP process as it was intended to reach consensus, to work through and negotiate these issues. I just don't think parents are hell-bent on getting an attorney involved every 5 seconds to sit there and work out an IEP dispute. That's not been my experience at all. But at the same time, if they've tried and tried and tried, and they have bad leaders, incompetent leaders that don't care about special education at all, then at that point, you're leaving the parents with only a few directions to go. Okay? So it does take the proactive and intelligent and smart and knowledgeable administrator to sit there and navigate this field of special education. And any smart principal out there would know that there's only really two kinds of parents that can really sting the school system, and that's the special education parent and the 504 parent. Those are the two that have a specialized, that has a carve out in the law that gives them a right to sue the government. The other areas, no. I mean, you can, under civil rights law, in some of these other areas, but it's not a class, it's not a group, okay? It's a little bit different. And I have way too many principals that they are kissing the behinds of the athletes' parents or the cheerleaders' parents or, all the people in the AP classes' parents, when those parents aren't the ones that can sting you. They may get you good scores and they may get you accolades in the newspaper with regards to their children's achievements, but they can't hurt you with regards to your resources like special education and 504 parents can if you're not doing the right job. And that's why so many schools need to pay the proper respect to the role of special education director. And it should be superintendent, special education director, and then your principals. And so many work on a different hierarchy of superintendent, principal, and somewhere way out here is the special education director, who controls a budget, for special education, and then Title I, and also a lot of them oversee 504. Yet they're not given their due respect in the pecking order. So do I feel any kind of sympathy for schools? No, because these are preventable issues. See, and so when you're given choices, and when you make bad choices, then as much as you want to punish children for violating your zero tolerance and your board policies, well, consider me your board policy. And when you violate my board policy and the board policy of parents in the form of our parental rights and the rights of our children, then there are consequences. And it's not quite as zero tolerance as you guys apply to our children. But don't ask for sympathy, because these are conscious choices to either have a good program or a piss poor program, to be a bully or work with parents, to not listen or to listen and communicate. These are solution oriented over here. These are not. These will get you in trouble every time. Every once in a while you'll stub your toe, but I can tell you, because this is sort of a gotcha law. So every once in a while you'll in any school system with a good director will stub their toe. Everyone. But to sit there and complain about a parent getting and seeking an expert to come in and support them, knowing that the school system is going to have theirs, and it's an unfair playing field. The school system controls the child's records. All right? That's huge. So good luck knowing exactly what they have and in what file and getting all of it, because, now do I have more of a capability of getting everything? Yeah, I do. But I can tell you, every case I've had that has gone to a due process hearing, I have busted every school system every time of withholding documentation or destroying aspects of the child's file, all in the interest in trying to win their case. So, huge disadvantage to parents going at this alone. Also, the fact that the school uses their own specialized attorneys that understand all of those nuances of what a FAPE is, the differences between a procedural violation and a substantive violation. They know those things. They know how to look at data collection. They know how to interpret psychological data. See, I know how to do all those things. So that's why the track record and the winning percentage for parents acting as their own attorney is not very good. In fact, it's dismal. Now, that's part of the reason we created this page, is to raise the level of awareness and education for parents so they do understand these differences. Because quite frankly, nobody's going to hurt. There's just in Alabama, there's almost 90,000 students with an IEP. We only handle a few hundred cases, guys, a year. That's all we can handle. And we're overloaded. That's just in Alabama. It's not even a drop in a bucket of the 90,000 out there. So either a lot of those kids are getting good services, or the parents do not understand this area, don't understand that special education attorneys exist, don't want to challenge government because they're afraid to challenge government. That's a lot of you guys out there. Absolutely terrified to challenge government because you're afraid it's going to bite back and bite back harder. But I can tell you, in my experience, loving it isn't going to make you better off. Sometimes you got to slap that snout. Sorry. Sometimes you got to roll up that newspaper. And depending on how severe the situation is. But I do not ever, but what concerns me about all of these articles that come out about, because I know that's the direction that the National School Board Association, National Association of Superintendents, that's where they're all going. They want to absolutely destroy your rights to be able to get an attorney involved. And any time that they're trying to rook the game in their favor by diminishing your right to go out and get an attorney to help you, advocate for your child, then you know that the fix is in. They never look and say, well, what can we do to improve? No. It's always the parents, and their attorneys, and they're costing us too much money. Well, that's because you guys don't prioritize special education. You think it's a waste of money. And then you sit there and you try to run the gauntlet of crappy services, like monkey stink poop services, and then sit there and you scratch your head and you go, oh my gosh, why did Galini file a complaint against me? Well, because you decided that you wanted to run the gauntlet and not provide good special education services for preschoolers, for example, or you decided not to provide the number of paraprofessionals that your special education director requested per the need that was out there. You decided that you wanted to do without the proper complement of speech language pathologists, or, sorry, my thing went down. So, those are all choices. And it is, spending priority choices, and it's their choice. But understand that's where I would rather school systems use their energy instead of complaining about attorney costs. That's the way to lower attorney costs.